Hi, let's today focus on session number 3, VPC Subnet. In my earlier session, session number 2, we learned about the CIDR. CIDR is for the VPC, right? If I have a VPC, CIDR is on the top. But under VPC, if I want to spin up my resources under zone, I would require the subnets. Subnets are specific to the zone. Subnets are zonal, you can say that. Can I use IPv4, IPv6 or both? Yes. At the same time, you can configure IPv4, IPv6 or you can have only IPv6 subnet and only IPv4 subnet. There are 4 types of subnet AWS offers. Public subnet, private subnet, isolated subnet, and a VPN only subnet. These are the 4 types of subnet. We'll see it later, not now. Whenever you create any subnet under CIDR, the first 5 IP address by default reserved. First IP address is your network ID. Second IP address reserve as a default gateway for that particular subnet. In this example, 10.0.0.1. Then the next IP is DNS server IP address. 3 is reserved for AWS future use. And of course, 255 is your broadcast. Consider I have one VM in my AP East 1A zone. And what is the subnet I have factored over here? 10.0.0.0/24. It means by default for this VM, the default gateway is 10.0.0.1. Correct? For AP East 1B, the default gateway will be 10.0.1.1 because zone A and zone B having a 2 different subnets. Clear? Okay. So guys, one example. You cannot have a subnet /29. Why? If we have a /29 subnet, it means we are getting 6 valid IP. But as per the AWS, 5 are reserved. Then only one IP address left with. So don't use /29 subnet anywhere. You can use /28. There you will get 14 IP address. Then reserve IP address will get minus and remaining IP address you can use. Whenever you create subnet, you can see the available IP address for use. We'll see later, not now. Okay? Next. Fine. Question. Can I use the same subnet in a different availability zone? Answer is no. AWS won't allow you to configure the same subnet within the same VPC between the 2 zones. Right? No, it is not allowed. Next. Here is the example, guys. We have a app VPC, we have web VPC. Both the VPC have the different CIDR. If you look at the subnet carefully, right? So this 10.1.1.0/24, 1.2.0/24, 1.0/24, these subnets falls under CIDR 10.1.0.0/16. And under app 1 VPC, you have a 3 zone and each zone have a unique subnet. Same way for a web VPC. Can 2 VPC has the same CIDR? Answer is yes. But you cannot do the VPC peering thing. Okay, we'll see later, not now. Concept. Next, type of subnets, right? What is public subnet? Whenever you create a subnet, there is no option to select subnet type, whether it is a public, isolated, private, or a VPN only subnet. No. Subnet type is defined by the routing table. Right? What is routing table? Session number 5. We'll cover it in the session number 5. What is public subnet? Simple definition. The subnet associated with the route table having a default route pointing towards the IGW called as a public subnet. For example, 10.1.1.0/24, this subnet is associated with the route table 1A public RTB. And in this route table, I have a default route 0.0.0 towards IGW. It means this is public subnet. Now, these three VMs have a IP address from the 10.1.1.0/24. If this VMs trying to reach internet, they will have a direct internet access. How? Because the subnet associate with the route table having the default route pointing towards the IEW. That's the reason this subnet called as a public subnet. Again, I'm telling you, when you create a subnet, there is no option to select the subnet type. It's defined by the route table. Simple definition, public subnet. Okay. Next, what is private subnet? Of course, private subnet means the subnet associate with the route table doesn't have any route towards the IGW. Example, 10.1.1.10.1.2.0/24 associated with the route table 1A private RTB, and this route table doesn't have the default route pointing towards the IGW, means it is called as a private subnet. Question is, then can this machine able to access internet? No. Why? Because their subnet associated with the route table, and that route table doesn't have a route towards IGW. Then how they will able to access the internet? Private subnet. Okay. Next, isolate VPN only subnet. VPN only subnet. Simple. Again, VPN only subnet means I have a subnet 10.1.12.0 associated with the route table app private RTB having the default route towards the sorry, not default route, my bad, route towards the VPN. There is a no route for the internet, no route towards the NAT gateway, right? This subnet is called as a VPN only subnet. What does it mean? It means this subnet will only able to reach the VPN, side to side VPN. Maybe it could be connected to the my on-premises network, maybe it could connected to the branch or data center. Clear? So this is called as the VPN only subnet. Then the next type is isolated subnet. The next type is your isolated subnet. What is mean by isolated subnet? Consider, guys, right? All my subnets 10.1.1.0, 2.0, then 11.0 and 12.0 associated with the route table. That route table doesn't have any route towards the IGW, NAT gateway, VPN. No route. Means there is no external connectivity or no external route other than this zone subnet called as a isolated subnet. It means these subnets only can talk to each other. That's it. Between the two different zones called as a isolated subnet. Clear? Okay. Now, what is VPC subnet reservation? For example, I don't want to use, guys. See, I have the CIDR 10.2.0.0/20, right? I don't want to use the 10.2.1.0/24 network, 10.2.2.0/24 network. Alright. So what I will do, I can reserve two subnets so that those subnet will not use anywhere in your VPC. Consider, I will tell you the example. If you have CIDR 10.2.0/20 and maybe few subnets from this major subnet conflicting with your on-premises network. So in that case, what you can do? You can reserve the subnets. Is it clear? So let's quickly recap. Subnets are okay. Subnets are zonal. Subnets can have the IPv4 or IPv6 or both at the same time. Subnet, there are four types of subnet: public subnet, private subnet, isolated subnet, and the VPN only subnet. There is a no configuration where you can go and select the subnet type, right? It's depending on the route table, right? Public subnet means the subnet associated with the route table having the default route towards the IGW. Private subnet means the subnet associated with the route table doesn't have the default route towards the IGW. VPN only subnet means the subnet associated with the route table having a route towards only VPN subnets. And isolated means the subnet associated with the route table and that route table doesn't have a route to reach anywhere, anywhere, right? Out of its VPC. It's called as the isolated subnets. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye bye.